Fox 13 presents Healthy Living, sponsored by Regence BlueShield.
And thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Jamie Tompkins. Coming up this half hour, we're going to take a look at some important health stories that impact all of us. Everything from traumatic brain injuries to easy meal swaps to help you lose weight. But first, chances are your employer has either brought people back to the workplace or they've been mulling it over. And after 2 years of working from home, that can be quite the adjustment. Fox 13's China Green shows us how you can deal with some of that anxiety.
As more people head back to the office and restrictions start to ease, it's normal to feel anxiety. Many organizations are helping employees make that transition easier. And we spoke to an expert at a Healthy Worksite Summit in Linwood. She said it is normal to feel stressed about returning to work, but there are some things that you can do to ease that burden.
So the first thing is, don't criticize yourself or even others for not feeling quite ready yet. So just to be very patient with yourself. Second thing is you want to actually label how you feel, actually speak it out loud or write it down, because when you do that, we know that the emotion, the stress, the worry, the fear actually moves through you faster and kind of just, you can flush it out faster. And then third, you want to write down all your questions and concerns, because that actually minimizes the overwhelm of the uncertainty. So writing it out makes it feel more manageable, and you can talk to your director, you can talk to your HR professional, get answers to your questions, so then you know all your choices and what you can navigate as you return back to work.
And she says a powerful tool we can all use is reframing the conversation.
And as we ease back, right, to being together, you might find you have feelings come up of being upset, still suffering from loss, being frustrated with someone. So if you are feeling like you're finding yourself in a negative state, I have some simple reframes to help you in those moments. So if you find you're coming back to work and you're just like, oh, I have to return to the office, I have to do this commute, I don't want to do it, right? So if you're feeling this obligation that feels very heavy, instead of saying I have to, say I get to, and look at what is the opportunity versus the obligation. Well, the opportunity is I get to be reunited with my friends at work. The opportunity is I get to not wash the dishes during the day, right? So shift your I have to an I get to.
A few other reframes. If you're dreading a situation at work, instead of going into it saying this is going to be horrible, try I wonder how I'll be surprised today. So you're shifting from dread to curiosity. Another reframe, if someone asks how you're doing, instead of complaining and listing all the things wrong, try starting the conversation with fortunately. Fortunately, we're all healthy, or something like that. That changes the trajectory of the conversation.
Well, as we navigate this endemic, many people are evaluating their mental and physical health. And while everybody's situation is different, some people haven't been eating so great and maybe drinking a little bit more than usual. And that's a great time to detox your body, and it doesn't have to be difficult. We talked with nutritionist Deborah Enos about some simple ways to go about that.
Well, I got to tell you, a detox can be really simple. I had a great conversation with my doctor, and she said there's really two things you want to do. You want to eat more fiber and you want to sweat more. So let's talk about ways to get more fiber in. But first, I want to let you know the American Heart Association recommends that we get 25 grams of fiber per day. The average American gets less than 15. So let's talk about some practical ways to increase fiber. First of all, probably my favorite way to increase fiber, beans and lentils. My pro tip is I always have cans of beans in my pantry. I love these S&W organic black beans, 10 grams of fiber for half a cup. I always have spinach in my pantry, broccoli, apples, and bananas. And then I love putting together bean salads. This is an edamame, shredded carrot, and black bean, making it really easy to try to get to that 25 grams of fiber per day.
Those are some simple foods that we can incorporate into our diets. And also, aside from that, if we just get moving, we can really start to feel the difference too, right?
Okay, my second tip on how to detox your body, exercise. But it's not just exercise, it's actually sweating. So according to my physician, she was saying the more you can sweat, the more you're going to help to get your body to kind of squeeze those cells, where it's going to help to really detox, but it's also just going to help to kind of move things through your system. Okay, exercise doesn't have to be at a gym. It can be very simple. You can grab some exercise bands off of Amazon. You can get a yoga block and start doing more yoga. You can walk your dog. And I don't know about you, Jamie, but cleaning my house also makes me sweat.
We can all relate to that. And exercise has so many positive effects on your overall health, including your risk of cardiovascular disease. It's the leading cause of death here in the United States, and it's the #1 killer of women. It claims more women's lives than all forms of cancer combined, especially Black and Hispanic women who are disproportionately impacted by heart disease and stroke. Claire Verity is the president of Regence BlueShield and chair of the Go Red for Women movement in Puget Sound. She says her own experience is one we can all learn from.
I was diagnosed with supraventricular tachycardia, and it was a wake-up call for me. It was something that I didn't really understand the importance of talking to your physician about a very minor symptom that I was having. So it really is about awareness, and it really fuels my passion when I think about the urgency of making sure that we don't lose another mom, another sister, another aunt to heart disease. One is too many.
Research shows heart attacks are on the rise in younger women, and data from one study suggests Gen Z and millennials are less likely to be aware of their greatest health threat, including knowing the warning signs of a heart attack or a stroke.
The #1 thing we can do is make sure that you go in for that preventive service. We're also seeing people maybe going to happy hour a little bit more frequently than they had in the past, or limiting their physical exercise because they don't want to be among other folks. Perhaps even maybe choosing some not so healthy diet options. Those are all things that over time build up and can contribute to heart disease.
Most heart attacks involve discomfort in the center of the chest, lasting more than a few minutes, uncomfortable pressure, squeezing, fullness, or pain. Other symptoms include shortness of breath, pain or discomfort in one or both arms, the back, neck, jaw, or stomach. And other possible signs include breaking out in a cold sweat, nausea, or lightheadedness. It's important to know your family history for heart disease, know your cholesterol, blood sugar, and blood pressure, and of course, eat healthy, manage stress, get good sleep, and exercise. And if you smoke, find resources to help you stop. Another important risk factor for women is stroke. Fox 13 News reporter China Green shows us how one young woman was completely healthy one minute and the next she was having a stroke.
Courtney Wilkins was a healthy woman sitting on her couch when an otherwise ordinary day turned into one she'll never forget.
I was 30 years old. I did taekwondo and yoga, good blood pressure. I had no risk factors. And since then, I found out that it can happen to anybody at any time.
Courtney was watching TV one day when she realized she had a big headache. It was confused and the room was spinning. She was taken to the hospital that day, and what she thought was a migraine turned out to be something much worse. She lost the ability to use part of her body and had to use a wheelchair for about 3 years.
When they first told me I was not likely to be able to walk independently again without a crutch or a walker or anything, the first thing that I did, I was at physical therapy. I went home, I got on the bus to go home, and literally pulled up my phone and looked up ways to be happy in a wheelchair. So, because life in a wheelchair is not the end of the world.
Courtney says she's doing much better today, but she still has some residual effects. She sometimes still has trouble with her speech and has to use a forearm crutch for walking.
That's one of the things that I've learned, is that disabled is not bad. It's being able to survive a stroke, to be able to live to be disabled is a great thing.
Now, when it comes to the warning signs of a stroke, remember FAST. F is for face drooping. Does one side of the face droop or is it numb? A for arm weakness. Is one arm weak or numb? Ask the person to raise both arms. Does one arm drift downward? S for speech. Difficulty. Is the speech slurred at all? And T means it is time to call 911.
Welcome back as we take a look at some healthy living stories that impact all of our lives. Eating healthy on the go doesn't have to be complicated, whether you're at work or shuffling the kids from one activity to the next. Certified personal trainer Quincy Sutton specializes in fitness nutrition, weight loss, sports performance, and corrective exercise. We asked him to show us how we can make the best choices on the fly. Quincy says the number one thing to keep in mind, you can't outwork a bad diet, even if you spend hours in the gym each week. When faced with multiple options, Quincy says keep it simple. The fewer ingredients, the better.
This is the main section where I usually pull from. Everything here is frozen, so
we're avoiding that section over there. I'll tell you that right now.
Sandwiches.
Okay, I can already see which one I would probably grab. And I like that the calories are right on the front too. They're not trying to hide it or pretend like they're healthier than they're not.
But when it comes to a beverage, I don't want to waste my calories on that, right?
No, and our first thought usually is to grab a juice, but they're actually not very good for us most of the time. So I wouldn't waste any of my calories with any of these sodas and definitely none of these juices. I would just get a good old water.
All right, let's go get a water.
Yeah, let's get that.
So I'll go for like almonds.
Okay.
Because they're fast, they can transport, and they're just easy to digest too. But they keep me full. Mm-hmm. And so if I need a sugar pick me up though, I know you're not gonna like this, but I'll go for one of these, taffy, because it's like 60 calories, but it's like instant sugar rush.
Yep.
Quincy is quick to find a healthier option, a fruit bar containing only mangoes and apples. Keeping in mind, calories are like a bank account. You have a limit for the day, and you want to spend that limit on the best choices possible.
Simple is better.
Yeah, simpler is the better.
Maybe one of the most important things to keep in mind is healthy portion size, which is different for everybody.
A simple way to cut your calories in half, or at least dramatically decrease them, is take half the sandwich, Jamie. Eat the whole fruit bar. That's only what, mangoes and apple. We're good to go.
Gonna give me that quick energy.
And are you a mayonnaise girl?
Not really.
Not really? Okay, forget that mayonnaise. Yeah, we don't want that mayonnaise. And then look what we just did there. We probably took off, 150, 200 calories alone right there.
But that's still gonna satiate me.
That's still gonna keep you satiated. And like I said, I'm a lot larger person than you are, so I might need the other half of this. But what's this to say, even if I didn't have time to finish it, I could eat that right there and then finish the other half later. So it's not like it's going anywhere, you know what I mean?
Another big part of staying healthy or losing weight is exercise. Weight training can be especially transformative. We asked Quincy to walk us through the correct techniques. If you could do one thing to improve your health, strength training should be at the top of your list. But when it comes to lifting weights, safety is top of mind. And that's why I recruited my friend Quincy Sutton to give us a few tips. He's a certified personal trainer specializing in fitness nutrition, weight loss, sports performance, and corrective exercise. Because the foundation of weight training begins with proper form.
All right, Jay, welcome back. So it's good to see you. So we're going to start off with a squat. I'm going to show you two different variations. One's a more advanced version and one's a little bit easier to get you started. You're going to put your feet about shoulder width apart and you're going to pretend you're sitting into a chair. There we go, all the way down. That's great, Jamie. Back's flat, torso up. Excellent. How's that feel?
Good.
To make it easier, you're actually going to grab a chair and sit down in it and stand right back up. Torso upright, little tap just to get some sensory feedback. Coming right back up. To make it harder, the simplest way is to grab a dumbbell or a kettle, or if you have a barbell, you can put a barbell on your back as well. Let's do it again. Beautiful, all the way down. Let's get 10 of those. The squat is such a powerful move because one, it's a functional movement. It's something that you're going to do the rest of your life. And on top of that, it's going to use a lot of energy as far as your legs, your upper body, your core. It's gonna burn a lot of calories as well as get you stronger throughout the entire body from the feet up. The second exercise we're gonna do is a dumbbell bench press. So when doing this by yourself for the first time, make sure you have someone behind you to keep you safe, whether it's a trainer or a friend. You're going to lean forward, bring it back. Feet are strong, back's flat, come down controlled, push up. Best way to think about this is inhale on the way down, exhale on the way up. Twist your hands, bring it to your knees, use that momentum like a little roller coaster ride to get you back up. The third move we're gonna do is a bent over dumbbell row. To set that up, you're gonna hip hinge through the hips, making sure your back is flat. Lean forward, knees a little bit bent, back is nice and flat. Now I want you to pull your elbows to the ceiling. And as you perform the row, you're going to be getting stronger through your entire posterior chain, as well as your biceps and shoulders. So it's a very powerful move that hits a lot of different muscle groups at once. Everyone has a different starting point, including myself and all the clients I've trained. So starting at your starting point is very important. If you need to make it a little bit easier to make yourself feel confident, then I suggest you do that and you will get stronger every day.
Of course, always consult your doctor before you begin any type of exercise program. We are probably all guilty of it, looking at our phones or scrolling social media during important moments in our lives. It's called digital addiction, and it's a real problem for many people, but there are things that you can do about it. Technology and digital devices have improved our lives in important ways, increasing our productivity at work, home, and school, scheduling appointments and buying almost anything. But for many people, these helpful tools can also have adverse health effects, and overuse can exacerbate anxiety, depression, and other underlying health issues. Andre Michelli, Clinical Director of Behavioral Health for Regence BlueShield, says anything positive can become negative if used too much.
Start writing down how much time you're spending, and that kind of can put it in perspective. Also, we can ask, am I avoiding people? Am I avoiding other responsibilities because I'm spending too much time on digital devices? And also, am I becoming more isolated? Am I withdrawn? Am I not sleeping as well? Am I feeling more sad, or my healthcare habits changed, my eating habits changed, exercise, things like that. So I think we have to be the ones to ask ourselves the questions to be able to realize if it's having a negative impact.
Well, some warning signs of digital addiction include a loss of interest in friends, work, school, or activities, and feelings of depression, anxiety, stress, or irritability. The whole goal is to find balance and be mindful. And if you have trouble sticking to your rules, ask a family member or a friend to hold you accountable. Earlier this year, beloved actor and comedian Bob Saget died of a severe head injury. According to investigators, the 65-year-old Full House dad hit his head and fractured his skull, causing bleeding on both sides of his brain. Doctors say it's likely he hit his head, thought nothing of it, and then went to sleep. And it's a scary reminder that a traumatic brain injury can happen to anyone. According to the CDC, TBIs affect millions of people in the U.S. each year. Falls are a leading cause, and older adults are at an increased risk for sustaining a TBI. As Dr. Randall Chestnut explains, a traumatic brain injury impacts how the brain works, and there are three main types: mild, moderate, and severe.
The important thing about brain injury is it's not about life or death, it's about quality of survival. So it isn't like a lot of diseases.
According to the CDC, there were about 61,000 TBI-related deaths in the United States in 2019. And while a traumatic brain injury could impact anyone, the CDC says data shows some groups are at higher risk of dying or experiencing long-term health problems. That includes racial and ethnic minorities, service members and veterans, people experiencing homelessness, those in correctional and detention facilities, survivors of domestic violence, and people living in rural areas.
The best treatment is prevention, and wearing helmets, being responsible, wearing seatbelt. I think the number one thing is to be careful. Don't expect something to protect you, but hedge your bets. But certainly on motorcycles, bicycles, skateboards, snowboards, etc.
It's important to note the CDC says older adults are more likely to be hospitalized and die from a TBI compared to all other age groups. Still, TBIs may be missed or misdiagnosed in older adults because the symptoms can overlap with other medical conditions like dementia. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of Healthy Living. And remember, you can check out all of the stories on our website, fox13seattle.com, and click on Healthy Living.